And we are back on with Cleopatra. The time is 9:35. And listen, guys, you hear the music, and that's how I feel about him. Emmanuel Chris Welch, better known to us as Mr. Speaker, the Speaker of the House, is joining the show. And what I want to say is that he made a statement that really caught my attention. He said, she's already proven to us who she is. She's already proven to us what she stands for, and she did something about it. She ran and she won. And that is from the Speaker. Speaker Welch, thank you so much for taking the time to join the show. How are you?
Cleopatra, I'm great. What an honor to be with you on your show.
Excellent. Well, I'm happy to have you because you rolled out the big guns, sir. You came swinging in support of our Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, alongside the Proviso Dems, the powerhouse, the ward organization that you chair. Talk to me about the layout and why she's it.
Well, as I said yesterday at the press conference, there's a whole lot of reasons why I believe Juliana is the right person to be our next United States Senator from Illinois. She's a dynamic individual in her own right, but her record speaks for itself. And I do believe she's the voice that we need in Washington. I knocked on doors with her in 2016 when she decided to run and become a state representative. She saw that we had a billionaire Republican who wanted to gut healthcare, gut seniors, gut veterans, and she got off her couch and said, "I'm gonna fight back." And I got out there with her and knocked on doors back in 2016, and she won. And she was really a huge turning point in the House of Representatives when she joined us in January of 2017. That's why Governor Pritzker reached in and grabbed a first-term legislator and asked her to run as his running mate for lieutenant governor. That's how dynamic she was. And I got to tell you, working with her was just special. You knew that she had that it. And I just honestly believe that she knows her why. Her why is people like us, people like you and me, people like the ones that listen to this radio show. She's going to go to Washington and care about us and fight for us. I think it's important that people know where I stand in a moment like this.
And as my phone is ringing and the chat is going up like a crescendo, I thank you for expounding upon her being the it girl, because that's what I'm gonna call her today. And with that being said, you'll get pushback, and you're no stranger to it. You are the Speaker of the House, and the question begs, how does she stand out as her running mate is a billionaire? Like, how does she differentiate between the two, especially in a crowded field that's kind of growing, but with the support of you and others? How do you help her define that along, as a surrogate, if you will, to support her race?
Well, I think her record speaks for itself. As a legislator, she fought for regular, everyday people, the issues that she got behind, the coalitions that she was able to build as a legislator. As lieutenant governor, I think she's done a very good job standing on her own as Juliana Stratton. She travels this state by herself a lot, and people are judging her based on who she is, or they should be. They certainly should be looking at this Black woman based on who she is. And if they do that, I got to tell you, they're going to see what I see. They're going to see a person who already fought a billionaire Republican who had an agenda that was anti-working class people and won. And she can go to Washington and do that again. And I certainly believe she won't back down. She won't be a shrinking violet. And I believe not only will she be the voice of everyone in Illinois, but she'd be a powerful voice across the country.
And we receive that. Now that I have Mr. Speaker, I want to talk to you. What has it been like for you in this turning point, especially in this tense environment adjacent to the mayhem at the top nationally, and then the fallout here, particularly as we opened up talking about the Supreme Court justice, public education, the deficit? You have a lot on your table while you are uplifting this Black woman. as the first Black Speaker of Illinois. Talk to us about your role and contribution and the direction you are leading the House on when it comes to all of these fires.
Yeah, and Cleopatra, thank you for that question, because I tell you, I'm in my 5th year as Speaker. This has probably been the most challenging year, just because the first 4 years I had President Biden in the White House, and we had someone who, believed in our vision, leading the country. And what we have now is a Bruce Rauner on steroids leading our country. They're trying to take this country back in every way you can think of when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to civil rights, when it comes to all the gains that we have made in this country as people. We literally have the President of the United States and his cabinet of billionaires trying to roll all of those victories back. What we see is tyranny and fascism in action. He has surrounded himself with unqualified yes people. If this was the Biden administration and those people were presented for credentials, they wouldn't have even made it for a hearing. But we have a cabinet that's yes people. We have a Supreme Court that's yes. We have a Congress that, despite disagreeing with his big bullshit bill, voted for it. Literally, what we're seeing right now is the erosion of the American democratic system, and we need to be concerned about that. And that's why we need to be very thoughtful about who we send to Washington to be our voice, because we are in a fight, and we have to, in 2026, take back the House and Senate to be a check on the president and this destructive agenda that he has.
And speaking of, and I just want to get your take on that, and I appreciate it. Anatomically, I've given our listening audience analysis every which way but loose. I've even read that atrocious bill, but I can be extremely anal when it comes to legislation. When it comes to the forecast of the Dems taking the House, because I believe that is in order, what's your thoughts on impeachment? What can we do to silence the orange agent? What is realistic outside of his temper tantrums and his misuse of our armed forces?
I think before we get to impeachment, and if he's, violated the Constitution, and Democrats are in charge of the House, if he's violated the Constitution, if he's like he did twice before, he should be impeached. But I think well before we get there, we need to be in charge of the House and hopefully the Senate, so that we can stop this destructive agenda. What people don't understand what happened with that big BS bill. I mean, 300,000 people right here in Illinois are at risk of losing their health care coverage solely because they're poor. Over 90 nursing homes and 9 rural hospitals face closure. Those are in poor communities. More than 360,000 Illinoisans are going to struggle for food and nutritional assistance just because they're poor. What we have is a billionaire Republican who has a billionaire cabinet that pushed through the largest budget ever, driving up the budget deficit, and all to give tax cuts to his wealthy billionaire friends. That's what we need to focus on first and foremost.
So you're saying get the house in order. And we've analyzed that day by day, brick by brick. I've literally built a house that the people can live in because they done stole the people's house temporarily. But even in saying that, Speaker, and there are some non-believers that don't believe fat meat greasy. And in saying that, my mother said if they can't hear, they'll feel. But I continue to push the truth and propel it to make believers, because in the event we fall short of the glory and we don't take back the House and we don't take back the Senate, this would be the longest 4 years of our lives. And it would be devastating, right?
Because he's only been there 7 months, 6.5 months.
Correct.
And it feels like it's been 6.5 years.
It's been a lifetime. And the travesty. So your proposal is clear. Get the House in order. If he steps out of line, then we'll handle that accordingly. But as I was just talking about The guy that's in charge of FEMA, no national or natural disaster experience. It's an absolute joke. When we're talking about Linda McMahon in Chicago, Speaker, we have a $600+ million deficit. I mean, 1,400 people were laid off, and they are celebrating the destruction of public education. On your end, what is the state prepared to do to support this? Because clearly Trump is applying pressure on the states to pick up the bill.
Yeah, Cleopatra, here's what we did in Springfield before we adjourned May 31st. We passed our 7th balanced budget in a row, a balanced budget that fully funds education in the state of Illinois and, takes care of our seniors, takes care of our most vulnerable. It was a budget that was responsible and compassionate. But there's only so much we can do as a state. This was a $55 billion budget, and we can't. We passed a budget based on the things that we can control.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't control what was happening in Washington. All we could tell people was call your legislators based on what we were hearing to try to prevent that. And what happened at the first week of July and signed on the 4th of July was one of the worst budget bills in American history. It's going to hurt millions of people across this country and hundreds of thousands of people of Illinois. And unfortunately, as a state, there's no way we can backfill the type of Medicaid cuts that we're going to see. There's no way we can backfill the type of cuts we're going to see in education funding. Millions of dollars in grants arbitrarily stopped by the Trump administration right at the beginning of July. States can't backfill those kind of dollars, without doing it on the backs of working families. And so there's no way to do that.
Well, one thing I do want to recognize is a segue connecting this full circle as to why Lt Governor Stratton is the it girl, not only in your eyes, but those that joined in support of her through the Proviso Dems organization, is her understanding of the compassion. You use that word, and I appreciate it, of the moral compass of a budget. And I talk exclusively about that because I pay close attention to budgets. And it's a doctrine of what we believe as Illinoisans. And ultimately, our representation is a reflection of what we believe, which is why you support and fully endorse her in times such as this, because we need leaders that have a moral compass. And what's absent more than anything is the humanitarian perspective of those that will be hurt. And like you said, it's millions. They haven't even felt the devastation of what is on the horizon, of the cruelty through this, big, what bill that is destined to happen. So talk to us about the months to come and what is heating up about this U.S. Senate race. Is no longer, hey, I'm running. No, I'm in it. And this is why you should join. What is at stake for us as Illinoisans?
Well, what's at stake is, control of this country. If we want to put a check on this destructive agenda that's coming out of the White House, we need to take back the Senate and we need to take back the House and get back to how this country was supposed to be run in a democratic way with checks and balances. Right now, we don't have that. We have rubber stamps at every level in the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and many, many gains that took years to get are being rolled back. And so that's what's at stake here. And so we need people to get involved. We need people in the next couple of weeks when petitions go out on the streets August 5th to help the lieutenant governor and other candidates get on the ballot. We need to get good people in office, but first it starts with getting them on the ballot. We need folks to go knock on doors and talk to people about what's going on in this country and explain to them the devastating impacts of what's happening in Washington. There's a lot of people that I've talked to who I thought knew what was going on and say, Speaker, can you tell me what is the big BS bill? Tell me about it. And if they don't know about it, I can only imagine, folks that don't have the ability to pay as close attention as we do know what's going on. So we gotta get out. We gotta get out there and talk to people and explain to them the destruction that's coming out of Washington right now and what lies ahead if we don't.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. Well, you heard the invite. I encourage you all to check out the Proviso Dems organization. They do a lot of great stuff. I was at Juneteenth. It was fantastic. And the speaker, you said, I bet this won't be a last, and it certainly won't. I felt like I was at the biggest cousin barbecue I had been at in a long time, and I felt very comfortable. And I mean that in all sincerity. And
Well, bring
I
your
come
show
from
out
the
there
West
next year and
Side,
do it.
so
Do
next
it
time I
live.
bring my chair, the children, I'm gonna let them just run roll, and then you're gonna be like, "Come get these kids." No, 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 they're good. But no, I appreciate it. I look forward to the opportunity where the listening audience, they're demanding to hear from. Now they want to hear from Lieutenant Governor. So we appreciate you just coming by to give that seal of approval as to why and to let us know all the work that you've championed for. And I'm going to let you get back to work because, it never stops for you, sir.
Hey, Cleopatra, thank you so much. And yes, WVON, Juliana Stratton is the it girl.
All right. You heard it here. I'll be back after this break, and Speaker, get back to work.